Is it Friday yet?
It is Friday. I'm really, it's funny because, welcome everybody, by the way. My name is, I get joked or teased for this all the time, but my name is Lisa Garrow and I'm with Candy Event Consulting.
Hi,
and maybe I need a new intro line or something. But I love what I do and I love being able to talk to all of you. And we've had 5 sessions. Jen Hadley is with me today again. And we're really looking forward to today. And this session is meant to be just answering your questions. So we've got some good questions that have come through. But it's funny, Jen, because I was thinking today I was a little less nervous. For those of you that haven't been watching us all week, this is the first time we're doing a live session like this and literally just asking questions and I don't know, just having a conversation online with all of you watching in. And the funny thing is this is number 5 that we've done this week. And I used to moved a lot with my girls when they were younger. And somebody said to me, after 5 years in one location, it actually starts to feel like home. And I was thinking of that this morning and I was like, this is number 5. And for some reason, it feels a little more homey than it did on Monday. I don't know if it feels like that for you, Jen.
It does. I'm thinking, okay, now what are we going to do next week?
Yeah, totally. I'm like, well, let's make something up.
What am I supposed
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We definitely have a plan because we're planners, but.
Actually, next week is going to be really cool with the 5 keys. We're starting that up. So maybe we'll
That's right.
talk about that later, but.
Exactly. So we'll tell you a little bit more about that probably at the end of this broadcast, but just so you can be watching for that, we have actually behind me, if you've been watching all week, now I'll have to get out of the way. This is beautiful artwork by a friend of ours, Dean Stanton, who does amazing interactive art stations at events. This one happens to be when we launched our joint coloring book, all based on our 5 keys of event planning. And that session was scheduled to be at ATB on Stephen Avenue at they've got a beautiful location there that we can be running workshops and things out of there. But we're moving it all online. And thanks, Jen, for the little intro, because we're actually gonna allow free downloads of the coloring book next week. So we're just working on that landing page, and then hopefully you guys can join us for 5 keys of event planning. That is April the 13th to the 17th.
Yes.
So that's the commercial for today. But you will probably see more of us. And honestly, the idea of this feeling homey, I think, in lots of ways, Jen, is just that this is a conversation that we have all the time. A lot of the topics that we're talking about are things that we banter about and that we have with our clients and with a lot of our partners. And honestly, for such a time as this, when everybody's feeling like there's crisis, and especially if you've got events in your portfolio, if you're doing that as part of a business that you're running, or maybe you're a nonprofit and this is how you make your living for the year, sometimes those events pay for your year of operations. We feel your pain, we understand it. We've been there and we are here to help. So today, what are we talking about today, Jen? Yay!
I think today is, I think it's kind of a wrap up of everything we've talked about all week. We talked about leadership. We talked about whether you should postpone or not. We've talked about, I don't even remember all the things we've talked about because I feel like we're just having these conversations all the time anyway. My inbox is bombarded with what should I do and what now and how are you doing and how are you dealing? And I think we need to all go back to the first one where we talked about self-care and just slowing down and chilling out and remembering that we're all in this together. And I think that's the number one, and then the rest will come.
Well, and it's interesting when we talk about self-care, and we did talk about teams and leadership and what does it mean to be leading in times of crisis. And today, I think with the self-care, a lot of that changes day to day too. Yesterday, I was feeling like we were just swimming in a lot of unknowns and changes in scope and projects and people and onboarding others. And And so I think a lot of the feelings yesterday of self-care was just about pace myself and pace my day. Today it's a beautiful sunny day. There's a different type of self-care, I think, for me, because I'm feeling bright, I had a good sleep. So don't feel like, and we're strategists, so we're like, put a process in place or a plan or a routine. And sometimes, especially now, you might feel differently every day. And so just watch yourself and track how you're feeling and do what you feel you need to do to take care of yourselves. And it's so important right now. And part of that, good transition to the topic for today.
I've been isolated.
Maybe I'm a little too at home, actually. If I start singing, I'm going to give you the okay to just stop the live broadcast, and that would be okay. Anyway, okay, so the topic for today.
Would now be a good time to share those videos of you that I have on my phone?
Never, actually. Never would be a good time to ever share singing videos of me. So for today, those of you that have been following along, this is our agenda for the week. So we really tried to put a little bit of thought around what we're talking about. I want to start with this before we start with questions, and I don't want to waste more time because I know we're just having some fun. But with the topic for today, I want to start with what we actually put into the session 5 description. And so it says, for event planners, the idea of asking for ideas, help, and support can be uncomfortable. We try to muscle through and often find solutions by trial and error. Getting ideas and answers quickly matters when you have no time to lose. So let's talk. And the idea, I just want to read like descriptions of things. It's like I want to be a movie trailer person.
You're very official.
Thank you. So this idea, and I'm just going to throw that out there, Jen. So this idea of how hard it can be for personalities like us. You get into administration, business ownership, event planning, project planning for a reason, because you're good at that. And because you are able to take control of a situation or a project and follow it through. So just in regards to this idea of it's hard to ask questions, where do you think that comes from, and what are your thoughts around what you've seen with some, even now in this transition, what people are facing?
Well, I think we all have a little bit of a peacock syndrome. and not that that's a bad thing, because that's, oh, Lisa, put your peacock feathers away. I think that that's a good thing in terms of building confidence and knowing that you're good at what you do, because if you own that, then people will believe you and trust and know that they can trust you to do what you're doing. So there's nothing wrong with, you know, talking about your awards that you've received or what you're accomplishing,
Mm-hmm.
what events you're working on. I think that that's really great. And it also shares your clients' achievements as well. And it just creates like a sort of a train of good things that are happening. And I think that there's a lot of room in the world for that right now, especially because we're all sitting wondering like about the doom and gloom news that we hear every 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being confident, like we teach our kids about being confident and to put themselves out there and to say, you know, I'm a leader, I'm successful, I'm all these things. But at the same time, there's maybe I don't want to say cockiness, maybe that's the right word, I don't know, like the ego around it, that it needs to be a little bit more calm down, where especially in these times, it's ask questions, join the community, help each other. And we're seeing so much of that. And I really, really love that. And then you go online and you see somebody posting a question that was relevant an hour ago because that was the news an hour ago. And then within that hour, something changed and people are just bashing them. And, you know, how can you even say that? And we're going to remember you and all this stuff. And I'm just thinking let's take out the emotion from what we're trying to help with and talk about the facts, you know. Why is social distancing important? Why are we not allowing groups to join in together of more than 5? Why is there no toilet paper on the shelves? You know, like there's an actual reason for all of these things. And yeah, we can go off on our emotional tangents, and we sure do. I do too.
Well, and to that point, that person probably won't ever ask a question
Never
of
again.
that community again, right? Because they've been slammed or they've been shamed in front of,
People they don't
dozens or, hundreds of people.
Sure. And
What does that do for their knowledge and their confidence moving forward?
And it's just like a kid raising their hand in class. If they get laughed at every time they ask a question, you're never going to hear from them again. And those are the people that oftentimes have really great ideas that we want to hear from. So,
and they're anxious to find the answers and the solutions, right? Like the people that I think in our world too that are asking the questions are the ones that they're going to do something with it. They're not just asking because they just are curious. Like, and curiosity is a big deal. Like, I think it's important, but there's more to it than that. Like, if somebody's asking the question, it's that they've hit a wall on something, and if only they knew this piece, or how does this fit, or who could I talk to, then they're back off running again. And I think we see that so often where in that freedom to ask the question, there also is the freedom to now innovate and change things and do something new, where there's going to be more questions down the road. So,
and like we've said before, no question is a dumb question, because if you're thinking it, someone else is for sure thinking it, So I think being kind to ourselves and to each other is really, really important right now. And we're seeing so much of that. And I really would love for that to continue just universally. I think it's really great.
Well, and I think you mentioned earlier when we were chatting about this idea of seeking out, that it actually is this act of maybe I don't know everything, or maybe there's something else I could be adding to my mix, or but that in offering information, that we don't go to the next step of just giving our opinion or just kind of blurting something out because we want to sound like the expert. That there's this layer of relationship. We talk about that all the time, this layer of relationship that can happen as people get more comfortable, as they're asking more questions, they're actually going deeper and deeper into finding a solution. Right. And I loved what you said, is that we can offer information, but not our opinion.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And also it's been said so many times in so many different places that if you're the smartest person in the room, find another room. Because you don't want to be the know-it-all and be all, right? Like that's how we grow, is by asking questions. That's how scientists come up with the questions, out of curiosity. What happens if? So if you're scared to ask the questions, your growth pattern is just, it's not going to get there.
Exactly. And to that end, because now we've got about 10-ish minutes, we have about 3 or 4 questions that we wanted to highlight that I think are totally worthy of discussion. Yeah. I've got one, if I could start, Jen.
Yeah.
I've got somebody that was running a fundraiser that sent a message, and what she was asking about, and honestly, this was only 24 hours ago. So, and like you said, Jen, like what you posted even an hour ago might not be
relevant,
updated information, right? So I'm going to read it as they've asked it. I won't give any names, so don't worry for anyone that's kind of thinking that you'll be called out on a question.
Only
Again, it's totally cool to ask questions. But what she was doing, she's actually running a fundraiser. She's trying to get silent auction items. Okay. And what she's finding is she doesn't have the power to cancel the event, is what she's saying, or postpone that event. So she's going on as business as usual. She's calling businesses and asking for auction items. So the response she's getting when she's emailing out is, please cancel your public gathering. And she said it's making it really hard to acquire donations.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Oh, well, on one hand, yeah, you should probably cancel or reschedule. But at the same time, if you don't have the control and power to do that, first you need to talk to the people that do have the power and control to do that. Likely, and I don't want to sound like a big rainstorm, but your event won't continue as it is just because of city-wide regulations. No venue will likely host it at this point. Permits
even in May, like even if you're looking at May, June.
Yeah, I mean, still I would still plan to go ahead, but have, like we said yesterday, have a backup plan in mind, have a backup date, talk to people about those options, because who knows, but it looks like, it took China a long time to get out of this, and they're just starting to. So, and I imagine people are going to be a little bit scared even when the bans are lifted to really go full out. So there's that. But then at the same time, we talked about this also a couple of days ago, is the need is still there, right? So a great response is, maybe we're not going to have the event right now, and we're completely following guidelines based on, what we're told to do. But at the same time, we're still going to need those silent auction items 3, 4, 5, 10 months from now. So let's get ahead. Like, I'm just trying to get my head start and trying to get everything done so that when we are able to hit the ground running, go for it. And that's what we do too.
Exactly. And to that point, there's actually ways that you can, and I think we did talk about this the other day. If you were to acquire those with a TBD, like you're not sure if it's going to be that date or another date, the need is still there. And if you're getting those donations, it's because they care about your organization. They want to support it, regardless of what it looks like. So very, I always say easily, but there are ways to actually get that auction online. There's ways to do an online call out as well for donations or for silent auction items. They might not even be delivered now.
No.
And that's totally okay.
Yeah. Like, just knowing that you're acquiring and you're still doing your work, and you're still, like, people can go online and make online donations in cash if they like. This also goes back to the whole point about not putting your opinion on it, but saying, do I care about this event? Does this cause mean anything to me? And if it does, then I'll still make a donation, or I'll still support this organization either way. And to be honest, the ones that are still supporting now are going to be much tighter with that organization later on. Not that you're buying anything specifically, but having somebody say to you, yes, I still want to be part of this because it's important to me. Here's whatever it is for your silent auction. This is the value of it. Maybe I won't deliver it, like you said, today, but when your event comes up, please include me. That also buys that donor an opportunity to get online mentions that maybe they wouldn't have before.
Exactly. And almost more so, right? Like, because everybody's online right now. So that's a really good point. So I'll read another one, Jen.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
So this one is about, again, a nonprofit. They've got some classes for children that they want to be running in May. They're recognizing that it's probably a no-go. So they're already in that headspace. But what they're wondering about is there a way to encourage people to register? I think it's about $100 or something for the class, and put them on a waiting list for whenever the classes go ahead. So what would be your thought around that?
I think with anything right now, nobody's running to buy things with a date attached, just because we don't really know. I wouldn't, especially going into summer, if summer does happen to open up and we are able to do that, you're going to be competing with summer camps and things like that for kids that aren't, you might not be top of mind at that point. This is a really good opportunity to do a gift card or a pre-sold gift certificate. So then that still keeps people who are interested coming to your organization. And then when you offer those opportunities, you can definitely use that money towards it. So that's just like we've been saying before about buying gift cards for restaurants or, certain services that you would have had before, like your massage therapist or your eyebrow lady or whatever it happens to be, to keep them alive still, and then still use their service at a later time. I think this is a great example of that, because no one right now is tying down to a specific date, especially with kids.
Exactly. Well, and what's really interesting about that, people also aren't buying anything attached with a date or not a date because they don't know, right? And even if that program or that event, kids event, adult event, it doesn't matter, is probably going to look different later. So if people do buy a gift card for your services or if nonprofit towards some kind of program, you can have updates coming out on what that could look like, or several different programs where they could apply that amount later on down the road.
It gives you the flexibility.
Yeah, exactly. Give them that flexibility. Great idea. You had a couple of questions that were from a business Slack chat,
Yeah.
I think, which is really interesting. So we work with small business entrepreneurs, not just nonprofit. So I would love to hear what questions you have there too.
Okay, so the first one is when should I transition from checking in on my clients to making an ask of them to support and keep my business afloat? So when is a good time? Because a lot of people right now are, do I work on me or do I work on them?
Yeah.
What do you think?
And I love this question because I think there is a business to business conversation happening where people are teaming together, finding opportunities to work together. Businesses understand what other businesses' pain might be.
Totally.
There's a little more understanding there. Suppliers to restaurants, venues to event planners. Like there's a little more of a camaraderie, I guess you could say. When we move into a business to consumer or customer or event goer or attendee, that's a bit of a different conversation because you're actually talking not apples to apples. You're talking about this is a service we're offering or an event that we've put together for our product launch, or we're trying to raise money for this service that we want to offer to the community. But the person that's bought that ticket isn't looking at it through your eyes. They're looking at an experience that they wanted to have by buying the ticket, going to the event, meeting the people at the event.
Yeah.
So we're actually finding how some people are asking for those refunds, or they're a little more, like you're saying, they're not necessarily just needing information. They're offering an opinion on how upset they are, or it's a different conversation around how do you continue to build that business, because your attendees at an event, your vendors, your trade show booths, partners, sponsors, all those people have a different lens they're looking through when they're looking at your event. So I guess my thought on that would be continue with your business to business, the same way that we would be talking to our suppliers, our vendors, some of our other contracted support around online summits, around like a lot of the relationships that we have will be a different, probably a more raw conversation on where are we at, how do we manage through, how do we support one another. With our clients, with the people that are attending your event, the conversation about when do you move from checking in on them to building your business and offering them something that they would now purchase, ticket or product or whatever it is. It depends on what that event or what that product is. And so Jen and I were talking about, there's a difference between saying, we've got a great event that called A Day on Purpose. It's a great example. Right now, as people are being laid off, or your clients are drying up, or the money's not in the bank, or you have attached a certain identity to the work that you do, and now it's stopping. You're trying to find what is your purpose. You start, maybe you're not having those questions in your head, and I think we're pretty clear on what our purpose is, and so we just lean into that. Some people don't have that. So the idea of offering an online summit or an event that they could go to where they can really dig into what is my purpose and what's important to me, that's actually a really great service option for people. We were joking about how we've got a lot of clothes in our closet, but the reality is most of our day is spent in sweats and hoodies, and we're just kind of doing our thing at home, right? And yes, there's Zoom meetings and things like that, but then you have to sort of,
can I return
as long as from Europe, it's okay.
Europe.
So you're probably not going to be selling that tailored suit.
No.
And if you're having a new product that you're launching about high-end, I don't know, maybe it's high-end clothing for your workplace or for an event that you're going to attend. But the cool thing is you can, in the business-to-business relationship, you can actually start building on those businesses and that relationship where you are still part of the conversation and you're still relevant without looking cold or what's the word, Jen? Without looking like you're just being insensitive to what's going on in the world. But and that is that's not just a perception thing. That's a who are you and what is your purpose thing. And how are you showing up for people when it matters?
I'm going to add to that also about just bringing back some of the other things that we talked about this week. In regards to supporting your clients and your own business, a lot of times, and even in what we're doing with this, us diversifying and us doing this online thing, we've had clients saying, I want to do that too. You know, how do I do that? So us doing more in our own growth and our own, you know, trial and error, taking our own selves into this mix vulnerably and saying, here's my face after 5 days of not being outside. Us doing that and putting ourselves out there in that leadership position, saying, this is what we're doing and this is why. Getting out to everyone, asking questions of them. What do you need help with? That's giving our clients a lot of their own strength and their own ideas into maybe I'm going to take this online. Maybe my product launch is now not going to be at the store. Now it's going to be online and I'm going to add different aspects to this. So I think there's a lot more opportunity in helping our clients while we help yourselves. Like they say, don't put someone else's mask on before you put your own mask on. Because you have to take care of yourself first, right? And there's no shame in that. Absolutely not. Because if we're not able to take care of ourselves and be grounded and say, just take our own deep breath before we respond to the panic that's happening outside, that's all we're going to spread is just more panic. So, and then following up on this question actually is a really good next question. If we're done with that one, are we good there?
Yeah, we've just got a couple minutes left. Do you have one more quick one?
One more, and it's actually, I'm going to just read it off of our online chat that we had here. What are everyone's thoughts on pausing services, giving free services? What do you think about that? And actually, one of the ladies that responded, Casey Berglund from Worthy and Well, she said that we have to take care of our own businesses and find your niche mates. I really like that word, niche mates. Find your niche mates and create bonuses, referrals, and affiliate partnerships, which will add value. Let's do better with serving our current clients, and be better at creating meaningful content and less fluff. I think that's so great. Thank you so much, Casey, for that and for letting me quote you there. Because
and I should say, actually, this chat that we're talking about is actually through our new home at Work Nicer.
Yeah.
And I really think Alex and the team there have done such an incredible job on, we talk about gatherings and meeting and the value of that, and they are living it out right now, where they are able to bring members online, have the conversations, ask the questions, and really be real with the people that they're trying to serve as well. So I just want to do a shout out to all of you at Work Nicer. We love you. But what a great answer to that. And I think it's a great way probably for us to leave our conversation today, because when you find your niche mates, which I love, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they are doing the same work that you are. And in some cases, it's better that they're not, because then you can lean into their strength and what are their resources and who's their network. And affiliates is a great way. Like if you're looking at trying to figure out how to give sponsors even for an event, like if you've got sponsorships for your event, how do you give them value?
Yeah.
Have them meet each other. A lot of sponsors, when they want to highlight what they're doing, they want to meet with other people, other sponsors. And so wouldn't it be great to have like a Zoom reception where it was just sponsors from your event all meeting, talking about why they are invested in it, and letting that lead to other collaborations, other business that they can do. They're in it for a reason, and they're in it because of you. Like if you've got an event happening or some kind of gathering happening, it's probably because you're the common denominator, your message, your service, your organization, your business. So why not bring them all together so that they can meet each other and grow because of that? So really, really great way to end. Jen, any other last comments?
My last comments, well, I just want to, and just because we're funny sometimes, I wanted to share a tip on how I've been social distancing at home. I found this in my basement.
Oh my goodness.
And I just wanted to share a little bit of Purell joy. Keep yourselves.
Is that how you give your children Purell sanitizer?
Stay away from me, child. And these are, I don't know.
High five, Jen. High five.
I just wanted to share a laugh with all you guys. Just remember to take it
Oh
lightly.
my gosh.
And hopefully, I don't know, maybe we'll turn this into a more often thing where we just answer questions, because it seems to be really great and people are asking. So join us again.
Totally.
Ask us anything on pickmybrain@candyconsulting.ca. If you have specific questions about your specific event, how we can help you, who we can connect you with. We've got some really
where we can get like a plastic robotic arm.
You can get
if
one
we really needed one.
I may have an extra one in the basement, but I don't know if I'm sharing.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
So funny. We may, I think what you're saying too about maybe we do a weekly Pick My Brain highlights, but we'll talk about that. We're constantly shifting, changing. Woo, woo, woo.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I didn't tell you. Lisa, I didn't tell you we were doing.
For now, we will sign off, and we just thank all of you. What?
I forgot to tell you that's what we're doing now.
Oh, okay. So Jen's gonna do this, and she's gonna invite me, and then it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. Anyway. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. There's nothing left on our agenda for this week.
Stay safe.
But we will see you again, hopefully soon. We will post on Candy Consulting Facebook page, and we will see you there. All right. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.